I'm VJ Hamilton and welcome to the Autoimmune Reset, the place for you to learn how to thrive with autoimmune disease and feel empowered to take steps to transform your health to feel better than ever. You can start making changes today to improve your health. So with every episode, my mission is to share with you simple ways to up-level your diet and lifestyle with key learnings from my own journey reversing autoimmune disease and inspirational stories from those who have reset their autoimmune symptoms and are now thriving in life. I suffered from autoimmune disease for over 25 years and now I live symptom-free, and I wish the same for you as well. So thank you for being here and sharing this time with me. Now let's get started. Hello and welcome back to the Autoimmune Reset podcast. It's your Friday 5 where I share 5 simple evidence-backed habits to help you create big shifts in your autoimmune health, one small step at a time. So if you're new here, I'm VJ Hamilton. I'm a registered nutritionist and founder of the Autoimmune Nutrition Clinic. And I've spent years helping people rebuild their energy, restore their hormones and feel like themselves again after autoimmune and inflammatory illness. And today we're talking about 5 simple habits that can truly turn your autoimmune health around. They may sound simple, but when they're done consistently, they change everything from your immune health to your energy to how you're feeling in yourself and your mood and your sense of connection. So let's dive straight in. The first is cooking from scratch. And this is one of the first things that I did. I recently did a lunchtime webinar for Lambert's. And the question I was asked is, what did I do for my health? Where was the starting point? And it really was when I started cooking from scratch. Now, this is why I'm starting with this one, because when I look back, actually starting to make whole foods again rather than relying on microwave meals made such a difference. When I was working in corporates and when I wasn't prioritizing my health, there was a time where I relied on convenience food or reheating meals in the microwave without thinking twice. But the more I understood about how the immune system interacts with food, the more I realized what we eat and how it's prepared matters profoundly. It isn't just about looking at some food and thinking about how much salt or sugar or fat is in it. It's about what the food is giving you. And to be honest, a lot of the food I was eating just didn't have any meaningful nutrients in it. So cooking from scratch can give you that control over the oils you use, the freshness of the ingredients, the absence of those additives and emulsifiers and seed oils that can all trigger inflammation. And yes, I started out by making sure that I was committing to this. And the first thing that I did was I got rid of my microwave because it felt extreme at first, but it completely changed the way I related to food, because instead of rushing, I became intentional in the food I was eating. I would get some salmon and chop up some vegetables and just put those in the oven, and it would only take 15 minutes. And I realized that eating whole foods could be simple as well. And now I experiment with more complex recipes because I've developed that over time. But I just started with something simple that still tasted really good. But it was just a simple way for me to get those whole foods whilst I still had a lot of other things going on in my life. And it made me appreciate the food as well and prioritize meal times rather than just rushing through the food and thinking I just need to eat something really quickly. I would just sit down calmly and eat my meal. And then I started doing that for lunch as well. So if there's one thing you can do this week, try cooking one extra meal from scratch. You don't have to start with anything complex, just start there. And even a simple soup or a tray bake can reconnect you to nourishment in a way convenience never will. The next is morning sunshine, and I am recommending this even in the depths of winter. This one might sound small, but it's extremely powerful. Getting natural light in the morning, even when it's cloudy, even when it's freezing, helps reset your circadian rhythm. It regulates cortisol and improves your immune health. And what I do is I just wrap up warm. I've got a really warm, cozy jacket, and you can step outside with a cup of tea. At the moment, I am loving matcha, so I go out there with a cup of matcha tea. I have 5 minutes to myself. Do some deep breathing, drink the tea, look at the birds, listen to the birds. It's just such a lovely way to start your day. And as I said, it also helps with your circadian rhythm. So if you're having any issues with your sleep, or if you're finding that you're waking up not feeling refreshed, then it could be that your cortisol cycle is dysregulated at the moment. And this can really help, because morning sunlight tells your brain it's daytime, you're safe, you can start metabolizing energy. It sets off a cascade that not only improves your energy levels, but your sleep that night, and it can help to stabilize your immune cells as well. And we know that it is when our immune cells are not functioning correctly that we can end up with an autoimmune condition. So even in winter, this ritual will really help to ground you. So this weekend, try starting your day outdoors, even just for a few minutes, cup of tea in hand and face to the sky. Next is to have a consistent bedtime, and it ties in nicely with the last recommendation, because your body thrives on rhythm and your immune system loves predictability. So a consistent bedtime helps to regulate your cortisol and melatonin cycle, which is a sleep hormone, and can have a direct effect on inflammation and your immune balance as well. And there are studies that support this theory that your sleep can improve when you have a consistent bedtime over a lot of other different factors. So going to bed at the same time every night can make such a huge difference. And yeah, there might be a night where you can't do that, but it's the things that we do consistently that make the big difference. For me, that meant being honest with my evenings, and rather than binging a series on Netflix, I now sit down for an hour, I'll watch one episode and then go to bed, do some reading, and make sure that I am in bed for 9:30, so I'm getting to sleep for 10 o'clock every night. And that has helped with my sleep. I track my sleep on Aura, and I can see the difference when I go to bed late. It has a knock-on effect. It can help to shift your energy. It can help to improve your mood dramatically. So if your sleep has been chaotic, start small, aim for a 30-minute bedtime window, and I'm sure your body will thank you for it in the long term. Next is to make time for creativity. And this is something that I was completely missing when I started making changes for my health. I was prioritizing work, I was prioritizing exercise when I had the energy to do it. And that was the cycle of my life. And when I could meet friends and do social activities, I did that as well. But I wasn't really doing anything creative, and creativity really helps to nourish your nervous system. We often underestimate how healing creativity can be, whether it's art, writing, music, even arranging flowers. These are not frivolous hobbies, they're acts of regulation. And when you're immersed in something creative, your brain shifts into that flow state. It lowers the stress hormones, it helps to calm inflammation, and it re-engages the vagus nerve, which is so vital for the regulation of your nervous system. For me, writing has always been that outlet, and I actually wrote a novel. I haven't finished it yet, but in 2019, when I'd made a lot of changes for my health, I started writing again, and I got to the point that I started writing this dystopian novel, and I would love to pick it up sometime, but that just helped me so much. I wasn't even sure where all this information was coming from, but after work I would just sit, I would pet my dogs. I had more energy, so I wasn't falling asleep on the sofa after work, and I just wrote for an hour and a half before I started making my dinner, and that process was so healing for me. And not everybody is going to love writing. You need to find your creative outlet, and actually now I love going to museums, I love looking at art. I will always have a membership at the V&A in London because I just love going to their exhibitions. They've always got different things on, and we can all find art in different ways, whether it be painting. Some of my clients love gardening. Cooking is an art in itself if you enjoy doing that, or even simple doodling. These things can help so much, and your immune system listens when you do things that make you feel alive. So pick something that you enjoy doing and makes you feel good. I remember a couple of Christmases ago, I went to a friend's house and made a wreath, and I was so stressed at the time. I had so much going on, and I went there and I just spent the morning making this lovely wreath. And at the end of it, I felt so good. I just felt like I'd done something and achieved something and finished something, and it felt amazing. So you can always book a creative class as well. I know there's lots of classes for painting and pottery and all sorts of things now. So have a think about what you like to do and start to bring that into your life. And next is probably one of the most important ones. And again, something that I wasn't prioritizing when I look back. I always think that I started improving my health because I did some functional testing and I changed my diet and I started taking certain supplements. As well as that, I was bringing creativity into my life. I was starting to do hobbies that I enjoyed, and I started to connect with loved ones. And I also joined like-minded communities of people who understood what I was going through and I was able to connect with on a deeper level, because autoimmune illness can be extremely isolating. You might feel like no one truly understands what is going on. I felt like that when I had chronic fatigue syndrome. It was such an invisible illness, but I knew that my body wasn't right and I was getting tested by the doctors. And yeah, they found some things, but it just wasn't enough to diagnose me with anything until I finally went to an endocrinologist and got diagnosed with post-viral chronic fatigue syndrome. But inside, I knew something wasn't right. And a lot of people didn't understand that. But I made a point of prioritizing relationships, making sure that I was seeing a friend every week, making sure that I was making an effort with my family and seeing my family. All these things made a big difference. But on top of that, I joined communities. I started by training as a Pilates instructor, and we met every weekend, and it was this amazing community of women who were there for different reasons, but I think we were all there to train to become Pilates instructors, but at the same time we were all going through a recovery and healing process. So I found that extremely helpful. And connection is like medicine. The research is clear on this. Strong social bonds lower inflammation, they improve our resilience, and they can even modulate immune function. And that's exactly why I created the Autoimmune Forum, which you can join. You can find that at www.theautoimmuneforum.com. And it's a free supportive space where you can connect with others and people who are going to get it and share your progress. You can also learn from others in that community. And if you're experiencing alopecia or hair thinning, then you might love my new community, the Reset Circle, which is a small group community designed to specifically support those who are working on hair regrowth from the inside out, whether you are experiencing this yourself or if you're a parent who has a child who's experiencing this. And inside the circle, we meet weekly to explore those deeper layers of recovery, from nutrient and hormone balance to stress and the gut and the immune repair, but just really to have that supportive community. You'll find more about that in the show notes, and you can also message me if you'd like to find out more, because you don't have to do this alone. Connection reminds your body that you're safe, supported, and seen. And that's one of the most important aspects of healing, and it signals to your immune system that you are safe and that it doesn't have to overreact to everything and be highly sensitive. When we have a high viral load, or we might have Lyme disease or mold toxicity, your body is in that heightened state of vigilance. And part of that is related to the nervous system. There is an argument to say that if you are calm, if your nervous system is well regulated, that you won't have that reaction to those types of things. Yes, they are the triggers. Yes, they are part of the picture. But if you have a stronger, more solid stress response and nervous system, it can make such a big difference. So to recap your Friday 5 for today, cooking from scratch can really help to make sure that you're having lots of whole foods, and it helps you appreciate the food that you're eating so that you're digesting the food better. The next is to step outside for some morning sunlight, even if it's cold. 3 is to go to bed at the same time every night if you can. 4 is to make time for creativity in your life. And 5 is to connect with the people who lift you up and understand your journey. Healing isn't about perfection, it's about consistency and compassion. Start with one habit this week, make it your anchor, and notice how your body begins to respond. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend who's also on their autoimmune journey. If you'd like to connect more deeply, come and join the Autoimmune Forum. Or if hair loss or alopecia is part of your story, take a look at the Root Reset Circle, where we bring these habits to life together week by week. I'll see you next Friday for another Friday 5. Until then, take care of yourself and remember, small, consistent habits create extraordinary recovery. Thank you very much for joining me today on the Autoimmune Reset. I really hope you enjoyed the discussion, and be sure to subscribe to the podcast so that you never miss an episode. And if you liked it, I would hugely appreciate a review on iTunes, as it helps me understand what you like about the podcast and to help share the information with more people. I'm excited to speak to you next time, and remember, you have the power to take the reins on your health. So keep the faith and celebrate the small wins. Until next time.